Making art is hard.
Welcome to Did I Do That? It's a podcast about making graphic design and making mistakes because it's all part of the process. I'm Sean Schumacher. You know me, you know my style. And joining me today, a very special guest for our Season 2 finale. He's worked for Instrument, Nike, Apple Music, Hovercraft, and many more. He is a freelance design director, content creator, and now content consultant whose work has racked up more than 1 billion views. That's so many views.
It's too many.
Frightening, that number. And he's also our first ever second-time guest on the show. It's Nick Adenau. Hi.
Hell yes.
Welcome.
It's like when Steve Martin hosts SNL, right? When Steve Martin hosts SNL, you know, he like adds another number and it becomes a club. So
Absolutely. We need to get you a velvet bathrobe.
Yeah, did I do that like, I don't know, what would you call it? Like member's jacket? You know, with a little 2 pins on it.
I mean, if we were being true to the premise of Family Matters, say in the later seasons when they ran out of ideas completely, then we would need, maybe for your second or third time, we would need to get you a cool... well, you are already the cool version of you. Maybe a nerd version of you that comes out of a machine. And then your third version, it's a robot version of you that you have to fight. And your fourth version, you go to space, which I believe is the season finale or the series finale of Family Matters.
I jumped the shark.
Welcome. So glad to have you back here in this terrible tiny space.
I like it. It's cozy.
I appreciate it so much. So last week I had one of the best vehicle viewing experiences of my life.
Okay.
I'm a real car head. Everyone knows this about me.
Okay.
I love the motors and the gears and
wheels.
Well, absolutely, they must have those. It is a necessary component. But I had a long day at school, long hard day, and I was walking back to my car, and I saw the most incredible sight, which was a garbage truck being towed by a special garbage truck tow truck.
What?
It's huge. The entire thing is the length of an entire Portland city block. It could only be for garbage truck because there's like this special whole mechanism that wraps around the garbage truck. And as I was looking at it, I think my mouth just dropped open. And the guys in the cab looked over at me and they were like, yeah! And I was like, yeah! Because why wouldn't you celebrate the best truck? To be in the garbage truck tow truck must be like you are a king.
If you think
king
garbage
of the
trucks
road.
are cool,
Yeah.
you think garbage trucks are cool. Wait till you find out what tows a garbage truck.
It must just sit there all the time, and they're looking at it, being like, "Oh, I wish I could drive that. I wish I could haul around a big old garbage truck." I know. Oh, and then the day finally comes when a garbage truck breaks down, and it's the best day of their lives.
They're waiting for that.
Absolutely.
They're like, "Oh, today,
yeah,
boys, gather around.
It's time.
We're doing it." Like, cancel your plans. It's like the assembly of like some A team or something like that. They're like. You know, they're like a normal towing truck, right? And
we need a face. We need a costume guy. Yeah. We need whatever it is that B.A. Baracus does. He's afraid of airplanes, I think. That's his main thing.
Garbage trucks.
Yeah. There's a fourth one, and I don't remember what his deal is at all.
Garbage truck driver.
Garbage truck driver.
Just
a normal guy with a commercial license.
The ousted village person. The one who didn't make the cut. He was on the reserve, the what would you call it, the injury reserve, or the bench. He rode the bench. Third string quarterback. They're like, yeah, I don't know if it's really a brand, but you know, in case the motor cop gets hurt, we will call you.
Yeah, and he was always hanging out with Marilee Euclides too. So you know, now I'm just doing deep art jokes, and that's not useful for anybody. Marilee Euclides, handshaker of garbage men everywhere. I think the last time we talked, you had been really getting like your first channel up and running, and like we're starting to get some good traction with it. It's been not a year, but like what? Almost a year? Oh God. Yeah, I guess it has. Yeah,
it's like May.
Like maybe 9-10 months.
Yeah. It was like a lifetime.
a lot of things have changed since then. How have you been? How have things been going?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
That's good.
January was the most burnt out I think I've ever been, and I didn't do anything. It was just the aftermath of like a really intense year.
I understand. Yeah. I mean, and too, like, to be in that content creation game, like, you are just constantly churning.
Yeah.
Like, and that's I was watching a video actually that you posted today, I think, on your new channel about exactly that. How did you kind of realize that you were feeling a little burnt out on everything?
I would wake up depressed and couldn't do anything, didn't want to do anything, had the pressure of having to continue to upload every single day, and you're just like, how can I not do this? How can I put this minimal effort in as possible? You just don't enjoy anything.
Yeah.
You don't enjoy anything, like doing anything except for doing nothing.
I have dealt with burnout many times in my life, including actually, a big part, to go behind the show a little bit. A big part of why I stopped season 1 right after this was I was feeling totally burnt out.
Yeah.
And I was, in some of the worst health that I've been in the past decade. And, in no small part, it was because, I just had too many balls in the air, and I was not juggling them well, and they were hitting me in the head repeatedly. And, that's fun and cartoonish, but it's also not fun to be the person being hit in the head, to be the Pagliacci that the doctor is referring Pagliacci to. So yeah, like, when you were in that state, did you consider like stopping? Did you consider like what was your thought process around kind of dealing with that?
Well, I feel like it's like actually important to even go back.
Yeah.
Like when we last talked, I was doing a channel called Lo-Fi Art School.
Yes.
Which was just a way to play around, kind of talk about creative ideas, inspiration. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of a playful little experiment.
Yeah.
And that ended up, I realized that, like, in terms of like what I was focusing on, like what my niche was, it really wasn't that sharp, and I should start over. So I kind of had this idea where I was like, had a lot of energy. I was starting to get kind of get into the flow of what it meant to be on TikTok and, short form content. And I was like, all right, so my only goal is, terrible idea, focus on getting views. That's it. Like, let's just figure out how to crack the formula.
Oh no.
And there's a lot of merit in doing that and being like, oh, I'm not going to care about, a lot of things that are exhausting, like building community and like having a purpose and serving a value proposition for like the audience that I wanted to connect with.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to have a limited scope going into something like that, even if the scope is very hard and big.
Yeah. Just like, let's figure this out. Let's just like figure out kind of the like high level stats. And that in itself was probably what, let's jump to the end. Yeah. That's probably what led to, massive burnout. But it was fun, but it's a fine line. And I really think it boils down to, what is your mindset going into it? What are you trying to get out of it? What is success? Because if you don't define those things for yourself, you're going to come to head with it.
Absolutely.
It was absolutely fun. I mean, to think that starting the second channel, when I started the second channel, Meme Bra, it was really focused on just like memes and like how ideas spread, silly little things. And then eventually, pretty quickly, actually, within a month, I was like, let's put my dad in front of the camera, right? Let's put my dad in front of the camera. Let's ask him his favorite meme, because it would be hilarious if you had a very modern meme coming from a voice that you would least expect it from.
Absolutely. Like,
everyone was like, the meme at the time was Nathaniel B, which is like a very young, hip, silly little video.
I don't even know what this is.
It's just this kid at a football practice doing a freestyle rap, and he just like biffs it hard, and everyone just boos him. But it's so funny. It's so funny. So like, I was like, hey, Dad, what's your meme of the week? And then he responds back, ain't that Nathaniel B? And then he's like, oh, it's hilarious. It's dank. It's funny. And then like, people just immediately started following the account.
Wow.
I hadn't been on camera yet, so my dad was really the first like real like that kind of host, you
Yeah.
know, or like so like it was me plus my dad for the first time, and then people just like started following immediately, like, you know, a couple thousand followers from that one video. I was like, whoa, just put my dad in front of the camera. So then we went out and I was like, Dad, go ask people for dad jokes. That'd be funny. It's kind of this viral idea, you know, like
Yeah.
like dad jokes are memes in a sense, right?
Absolutely. They do spread virally ultimately.
Yeah.
And sometimes are bad enough that they feel viral as well.
Yeah. So that took off really quick, and like people just ate it up. Because there was like, it was kind of funny because you're like, all right, there's a lot of dad jokes and memes on the internet, obviously, but there's nobody on the street getting interviews about these things, you know? So let's do that. That'll be our little niche, right? Is like take this stuff, put it in the street. And the internet loved my dad. It was a really weird, but awesome experience because I was going out with my dad on the weekends, filming stuff, just having fun. In the summertime, people were laughing and just like telling us jokes. It was awesome. Like that was like,
sounds so refreshing.
yeah.
Like
it was like the best. I mean, some of the best memories I've ever had with my dad as, you know, as an adult or even as a kid. And that's super fun. And I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. That was great. That was awesome. Like we had so much fun.
it was kind of restorative, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a couple of those videos, and
Yeah.
they're pretty fantastic.
Yeah. They're great.
Yeah. How did you like? Was it just like experimentation that got you to that format, or was it kind of just like trying to figure out like where to go, what felt like it was going to get traction?
Well, I told you the thing I did wrong, which was basically going into the process of starting a social media channel without really any idea of what like the long-term success would be for me.
Yeah.
Outside of something that's kind of hollow, like views and like virality. But the thing that we did do right, which it's a fine line when creating, I think, anything that you're going to put out on the internet, especially like a social media channel that's focused on video, is you do have to experiment. You really do need to be open-minded to be like, hey, we went into this and we're just going to focus on memes. And then it becomes like kind of focus more on jokes and comedy. And you're like, okay, that falls in line with the original vision, you know, like how ideas spread, memes, internet culture. And then you allow yourself to kind of breathe into this new space and then find a new niche and then connect. I mean, that's really what the point, I think, of starting a social media channel should ultimately be, unless you're like serving a very, very direct purpose of like, I'm driving traffic to my store. But if you are kind of like doing something that there is an entertainment value and the proposition really is just like joy and just pleasure, then you should be open to new ideas and say, okay, memes, wait, dad jokes, perfect. That's actually a good mix.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is something we did do right, but it is a delicate balance because I think one of the things that I regret not doing was continuing to experiment while those other ideas were taking off.
Yeah.
I locked myself in. I locked myself in like way too I locked myself in the door. I locked myself in too quick, basically.
Yeah. Would you, in order to experiment, do you think you would have to start a different channel or like slowly ease things in, or are you just stuck now in this mode?
This is where the burnout happens.
Oh no.
This is where I think, honestly, the most maddening part comes.
Yeah.
I heard this saying from, who was it? There's these content creators who had said, when you start getting successful, when you hit virality, that's where things actually become the hardest. Because you lock yourself into a really small niche. And especially on TikTok, I think it's worse on TikTok than on Instagram or YouTube. There's no room for experimentation. If you change up your strategy or your video format, I mean, you'll go from like I've gone from having 5 million views in 2 days on one video to having 2,000 views the next day. And it's like, that's
quite a gap.
That's a huge gap. And I mean, you want to say, I don't care. Who gives a shit? But when you're like, okay, is this something I want to make money off of? I got to figure this out pretty quick, because if I wanted to stay steady and have, you know, sponsorship or just like feeling confident that like whoever is in partnership with us, there will be some consistency. So you start to go, what am I doing wrong? You know, like what's happening? And I think that's where it gets really, really hard. And the only way to really avoid that is when you start to say, I have a wide range, a smorgasbord, a what are they called? Chittery board. It's like a
I have no idea.
You're basically
This is way fancier than I usually get.
Let's go back. You have a fine buffet of options that you want to show your audience. And as soon as you start locking yourself into just a couple video formats, especially if it's just one or two, like good luck, so from the beginning, you have to kind of hold your own to say, hey, I know these two ideas are doing really well, but I don't want to abandon the things that fill my cup.
That's so important. That's so important because it's really easy to lose that. Especially in the early days, if it's feeling like that's not getting as much traction. I always try to tell. I mean, to loop it back around to like teaching, like I always try to tell students, like there may be work that you've done that's like professional work, but if it doesn't make you happy, if it doesn't represent the thing that you want to do, even if it's really good, you shouldn't put it in your portfolio because somebody along the way that you're going to talk to is going to see that and go, I want that. And if you didn't like making it, if you hated the outcome or hated the process or just hated doing any part of it, you're going to be stuck making that thing forever. And that's no good for anybody.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good lesson to learn. And it's something I'm becoming a little more comfortable with talking about. Yeah. And I'm glad I know we were originally going to film this a couple weeks ago. And I'm glad that we're here now because I've kind of come to some conclusions over the last couple of weeks, and I feel a little bit more like confident about my path forward and what I'm letting go and what I'm, kind of what I'm keeping moving forward.
Can I ask what those things are?
It's been 6 months since I started Meme Bra, which feels short and
but it's a lifetime in that space, I feel
especially if you're grinding, working 9 to 5 and then nights and weekends are all dedicated to this.
Yeah.
That does really feel like, it feels more like 2 years.
Jesus.
And
that's no good.
No, but I look back now I'm doing more consulting and focusing on content creators that are not myself and how I can help them. And, you have to kind of look at your numbers and find ways to communicate, your success while you've done. I'm like, okay, we averaged like 20 million views a month, which is a lot. That's a ton of views. But at the end of the day, I love what we did on Meme Bra. I absolutely love hanging out with my dad, shooting videos, going out talking to people on the street. One of the most rewarding things I've ever done. The confidence you gain from going out and asking strangers to tell you silly little jokes. I have gotten yelled at. I have gotten cursed out at. I've had people, some people won't even talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, walking up to people with a camera is probably about the level of fun time response that you get if you are standing on a street corner with a clipboard.
Yeah.
Pour one out for the poor street corner clipboard people because they got to have real bad jobs.
Yeah.
And I know they don't
get
paid well.
Some of them actually, it depends on who, what are they called? Clipboarders. There's a certain term for them. One of my friends is in politics, and I do know that you can make pretty good money if you're good. My partner spent a lot of time in legal, and it reminds me of being a paralegal, where it's like if you're really good at it, it's super lucrative. A canvasser, that's what they're called. They're called
canvasser.
Canvassers can make pretty good money, but I think you've got to be a pro at it. And a lot of it is just approaching people with the right mindset to just know that you're going to get rejected a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, I don't have a problem with rejection in general, but if I did, I wouldn't anymore because you go out there and you're like, how can I optimize my time? I'm going to make as many videos out of this as possible because it's exhausting. It's you want to have good conversations and fun, which you absolutely do, but you also got to be all right, moving on. We can't spend all day talking to somebody, which sometimes will happen, especially with my dad. It's my dad's out there and he's in his,
oh God.
My dad's out in his high-vis gear. He looks like a construction worker. People just want to talk to him, and that's great.
Yeah.
It's totally great, especially when people start recognizing you, which over the last, 3 months has been pretty normal for an outing for someone to be especially high schoolers to say, oh my God, it's you. And that's weird. That's totally weird. Something I've been around, working with Macklemore back in the day, just understanding that concept and what's it feel like. But it is strange. But what I was getting at was you start to analyze all these numbers and you crunch them down and you say, okay, I've done this. And I think people look at that and they're like, that's amazing. I could never imagine doing that for myself.
Yeah.
This has got to be your thing, right? This is what you're passionate about. This is what you're going to do forever. And then you're like, actually, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Because if you don't enjoy it, what's the point?
That's the hardest thing.
And as you grow, you look at those numbers and you say, I've worked so hard to get, X thousand followers or whatever. We're approaching 100,000 followers on TikTok. Oh my God, amazing.
That's a lot.
But like also when you look at what does that relationship consist of?
Yeah.
But it's funny because you have thousands and thousands of people following you, millions of people, digesting your content every single day. And then you're like, but I don't feel connected with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the problem starts to arise. And it does connect back to the beginning. What was I setting out to do?
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, that's a problem.
And you miss out on the thing that you actually would want that would fill your cup, as you said.
Fill my can of liquid death.
Yeah. I don't think you're meant to refill it. that probably voids the warranty on these.
Goes down smooth every time.
Goes down real smooth. The taste of death. What other lessons do you feel like you've kind of learned from this process?
Whether it be starting a social media channel or, starting a TikTok, whatever it may be, I think it does go hand in hand with like some very basic principles that have existed forever.
Yeah.
At least since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution.
That's quite a ways back.
A couple years.
Yeah.
It really just boils down to like having your materials really tight.
Yeah.
There's a time to play and there's a time to experiment, right? And I think my mindset, my mental health would have been better going into Meme Raw knowing no matter what, this is never going to be a path forward for revenue or for, real long-term career movement, even though like obviously everything you do can ultimately influence that. I think just having really good intentions. So it's like when you start a business, it's like, I know a lot of businesses start and they fly by the seat of their pants because they accidentally make a product and it takes off.
Yes.
That wasn't what they set out to do. I mean, just look at most technology companies, like they usually pivot because the audience, your potential viewers or your users, consumers, whatever you want to call them, they will inform you of the process. And that is what's cool about doing starting a TikTok channel or a YouTube channel, whatever it may be, is that you can user test really quickly.
Yeah.
The biggest video that we have is the biggest format that we have is the joke train, where I ask somebody, tell me a joke that'll make the next person I talk to laugh. And if they laugh, they tell me a joke. And it continues. And it keeps going until somebody doesn't laugh. And when they don't laugh, the video ends, right? So it's like, I know why it goes viral all the time is because people watch it and they want to see how far it's going to go. It's like a very big dopamine hit to be like funny, silly jokes, quick changing backgrounds, super fast. And then when it ends, you're just like, I didn't think it was going to end there, or I knew it was going to end there. There's satisfaction in knowing where it starts and how it ends, right?
Yeah. Like in a way, it's not that different than because I feel like there's a lot of infatuation still with like 90s sitcoms and how like there would be this incredible density of jokes. And you're sitting there and it's only 22 minutes and you get a whole story and a lot of jokes and then it's over and you feel this great sense of conclusion. And it's not like you gotta watch the next episode right away. Yeah. Night Court's just gonna go and keep reset itself. And Judge Harry is wearing a hat this time and
exactly.
No one remembers what we talked about before.
And now it's just 22 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's like the sweet spot for us. Like, is 15 to 28 seconds. Like 22 seconds is like perfect. So like I understand why it does well. I understand why people love it. But it's really funny because when I came up with that idea, it was like Monday morning. I was returning some equipment, and by Thursday, it had gone viral. I had gone out, shot it, edited it, put it out, gone viral. That's really quick turnaround.
Yeah.
So like that part of it is really fun because you can user test it really quick because you just throw it up on there, see how people respond, what the algorithm does with it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. But you live by the gun, you die by the gun, because then you can get locked in really quick, and then there's really nothing, else that the TikTok algorithm wants to see.
Yeah.
Whatever comes out of you and your profile needs to be very seamlessly aligned with the thing that got you to go viral to begin with, and then it takes some time. I mean, we're at the point now where like, if I really push the channel, continue to do it, at some point I could pivot it a little bit, more and more. But it takes, you probably have to be in like 250,000 followers to get to that point where you're really able to do that because of how the algorithm trusts you, but also like what your audience expects out of you.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all kind of a leap of faith too, because you never know, like in the process, if the algorithm is going to change and drop what you were doing.
Exactly.
Or
culture changes.
Yeah.
Culture change or time of year, things like that. I mean, those things, the thing about all the trends that have come out of TikTok in the last 6 months, I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you. There's so many. Like, the sounds that were going viral on TikTok 6 months ago when I started the channel compared to now, I mean, those feel like vintage. Like, they really do. Like,
dear God.
I mean, the whole joke is that, like, Instagram sounds... Or like Instagram Reels are like 3 to 4 weeks behind TikTok,
Yeah.
So like, but even when I hear those trends, those sounds that are a couple weeks old, I'm like, where have you been? Where have you been?
I remember this from the olden days.
Yeah.
They say there was a sound like... What's one of the sounds?
Oh, what's a really good one? What's one that we say? My partner and I only talk through TikTok sounds. That's it. There's some really inappropriate ones. I'm not going to say those ones.
Everyone knows there's hundreds of children listening to this show every day. It's
Okay.
it's mainly targeted at 5-year-olds.
There's a sound that comes to mind. It's the excuse me, but what in the actual fuck are you doing in my house right now? My partner and I will say that to each other all the time.
What is it from?
I don't know.
Is it not even clear like where the sounds are from a lot of the time?
There are accounts where they'll just like show you where they came from. And I really like those accounts because they're like, it's cool because you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this came from like, there's a sound where it's like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa, and that's too damn bad. And like that came from Holes. The movie Holes.
Oh, God.
Like...
I don't know that we need to revisit the movie Holes.
Exactly. There's, like, some gems where you were like, or, like, it came from a Taylor Swift song. You're like, oh, that's a Taylor Swift song? That's weird. I didn't know that. It's like, that's how people are discovering music, though. It's like they'll, like, play something in their head, and then they'll apply it to their life. They're like, oh, yeah, you do that fun, witty thing to that song. It's me. Hi, I'm the villain. It's me. Whatever. That's that Taylor Swift song, the anti-hero song. My partner didn't even know that was a Taylor Swift song. She just knew how to apply it to her life in certain scenarios of when it was funny and contextual. Like that's how we consume culture now.
Yeah, it's all so strange.
Tidbits of information and sounds.
Yeah, that's so funny. You mentioned before we started recording that you brought in a couple things for us to look at.
Yeah.
What did you bring in?
I want to show you something that we did on the channel that actually didn't perform that well.
Okay.
I'll start. Music just starts immediately. There's this thing where like when you pull, it's like
visiting a news website now.
Yeah, TikTok just is like, we're gonna play sounds right away. How many videos will I have to go back to find? Not that far, actually. Okay, so
it doesn't sound as though it moves fast there at the old TikTok.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so
for those of you who are not watching with video, Nick gave the most wearied look in the world.
Okay, so some context. So obviously, the format that does best on the channel is the joke train, right? And when you approach people on the street, it's pretty funny because there's like how you showcase and publish your video, but then there's how do you approach people on the street, because they're two different things, right? So like you can't make it too convoluted. It really needs to read like a billboard when you approach somebody on the street. So here's my walk up.
Okay.
So we're walking on the street. You'll pass me by and I'll say, hey, can I tell you a joke?
Okay. What's a joke?
Okay, but if you laugh, you have to tell me one back.
Well, I suppose I could do that.
And that's pretty much it. Except for like most people will be like, yeah, okay. I would say like 90% of people will say, yes, I want to hear a joke. And then from that, half of them will want to tell you a joke back. So it's a little bit of work because you're asking for like participation in this, right? And it's the reason why people love it, and the reason why people will be like, actually, no, I'm not funny. There's no way I will face plant. So my partner, Shauna's and I, a lot of the ideas really were informed by her being part of a collaborative, like creative brainstorming process. So big shout out to her. Couldn't have done this channel without her. So we had this idea for something called the story train, which is a lot like the joke train. And it was like identifying parts of any given story, right?
Oh, sure.
And then going out and being like, how can we get people to tell us the beginning, the middle, and the end, but they're all informed by the last person that we had talked to, right? And we were stoked on this.
Yeah.
We were so stoked on this. So we went out on a Friday. We had a rough idea of how we would do it. And it didn't work the first time. We went out and shot like 3 or 4 of them, which is a lot of energy. And it just didn't work because it didn't cut well.
Oh.
Because you allowed people too much room for interpretation.
Oh.
But it was still really fun. So we went out the next day and did it again and really sharpened our focus about what we would allow people to tell us. And that helped a lot because you got to realize like, and just like when you ask any given stranger, it's like they can give you more than you need.
Yeah. How much context would you get? Because, I mean, it's like, it sounds like the Exquisite Corpse thing a little bit.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
How much context are you giving them about, like, what the larger gestalt of the thing is going to be? Or, like...
And I think that's exactly it, because you would be coming off of another conversation with somebody, and they would have given you a lot. And in the moment, in real time, you kind of have to identify, what does this person actually need from the last person? I don't need to tell them everything, even if it makes the cut.
Yeah.
They just need to know, like, it needs to just fit in your hand really easily. It's Sean. He works at a shoemaking factory. He likes pizza. What does he actually desire in his life? Like, that's as basic as it needs to be.
Yeah.
Let's watch it.
Let's watch it.
You watch it. I'm not watching it.
You've watched it enough for your own liking.
Let's see.
She's 71 years old. She never grew out of her emo phase, and she's kind of a rude old lady.
She lives in Seattle. Gertrude desires her other half, a hot old emo man.
Gertrude goes to Seattle's hottest new emo cafe to meet Bob Milton, a man she
Oh,
met on Tinder.
Bob Milton.
The villain of the story is Karen, his co-worker, who doesn't know he has a secret emo side and loves him for who he presents himself at the office. Gertrude overcomes Karen by blasting Yellow Card. Bob can't control himself. He starts vibing out to the Yellow Card song, and Karen is absolutely appalled. She does not want anything to do with Bob anymore. Gertrude and Bob left together happy. What's the moral of the story? Be your inner self, and other people will love you for who you are on the inside.
We had that story's like New York's hottest club. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got a character named Gertrude. It's got the band Yellow Card.
Yep.
It's got a Karen. So I can also see, just from watching that, there were about, I want to say, 15 cuts in there. I can see how that would be just crushing to try to coordinate.
Yeah, that was the hard part. That's why, like, we went out the first day and just kind of face planted.
Yeah.
It was great, but, like, you have to cut things down where it's, like, really punchy, straight to the point, get to the details. I mean, I don't think anyone wants to jump on TikTok and hear, like, somebody, like, ramble nonsense.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's cool, but...
Well, but I think that's...
in this context.
That's true of a lot of things. Like, I always talk to people about this show. Like, it sounds, I think, very casual and off the cuff, and that's intentional, but, like, it's 8 hours of editing for me after, and that's to make it sound the way that people expect. And I, like, things like that, things like what you're doing, like, it takes so much work to make this little digestible thing that people like, and that's the hardest part of the project ultimately is like what happens after
cutting it down.
Yeah,
that was fun though. I really did enjoy doing that one.
Yeah.
Like it was really cool. It's one of those ideas that I feel like it just needs to be its own account.
Yeah, probably. Do you think it would be easier with like multiple people doing it too? Like, Because I mean,
Like on the account in general?
maybe because I mean, it sounds like doing that was probably a lot more work than even the joke train
Oh, yeah.
by far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing. That's an idea that I've had with Meme Raw in general was like, oh, can I just like get correspondents to take this over
Yeah.
and continue it? Because there are a lot of things I do enjoy about it, you know? But I mean, we're finite humans when we have so much time, you know? And like,
coordinating people takes a lot of time too.
it is exhausting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was fun. That could be its own thing. It would do really well, I think. I think that like it was weird because I posted it and it did terrible. It was like some of the worst stats I had had. But then it's like, who's the audience? Who's it getting to? And then like 2 weeks later, it like started doing much, much better, you know? And then it found an audience and people were like, oh my God, I love this. Can I have more of it? And you're like,
where
yeah,
were you?
Yeah, I know. Like, and that's kind of just how things work on the algorithm, especially it's like it's trying to, any algorithm is trying to do its best to keep people on the platform.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's all a platform wants. That's all TikTok, YouTube wants, Spotify, whatever. They want users on as long as possible. So they will fight their darnest to put it out in front of people to make sure like it's connecting to the right audience. And sometimes that takes a while to do.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think the longevity of that on the Meme Broad channel would actually pan out, at least at the point when we had posted it.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. God, that's so tough when you have an idea that you're so excited about.
Yeah. But
when you just have that faceplant moment.
Yeah. And I have a couple more of them that actually worked out. We shot 2 days worth of them and it was awesome. But, you know, I'm sitting on a lot of content that could go on that channel or another channel. But really at this point in time, I'm like, what do I actually want to spend my time doing? I don't want to work another year where I'm 9 to 5 on a contract, doing all the creative stuff, and then at night and weekends I'm just grinding myself to dust. You know, I'm done with that. Like that, those days are gone.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That is maybe that's I think one of the things that we've been talking about in all the 2023 recordings that I've done so far has been, you know, what are our wants and needs for 2023? What are our If only there's a way to say that in regards to a new year.
Resolution.
I guess that is a word. Yeah.
A New Year's resolution.
What are our New Year's resolutions? Maybe that's a good New Year's resolution. Is like, you know, that kind of thing.
I do think in like 2023 for me personally, I do not want to spend my time grinding as hard. Like I want to be a bit more lazy. I want to actually like live a real life. Yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, I'm trying to look at it this way because I think like when I'm there with you, but I also am just racked with the guilt of like, you know, you don't want to let anything go. But, you know, I think it's about almost like for me finding ways to do things that still get you towards your goals and or maybe not goals, but like are in the values that you want to live by, but are not through their collective power working against you. So like even a thing that you love, you have to set boundaries with or else it eats you.
Absolutely.
As happens to everyone in a creative field. Like you can draw, you can love drawing all you want. And if you don't give yourself some time when you're not drawing, then you will be crushed by drawing.
Yeah.
And that's miserable.
I know people who are crushed by drawing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying their names, but they will probably listen to this podcast.
They know who they are.
I know you're listening.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been preaching this for a long time, which is essentially if you love something, you need to also kind of hate it at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
That creates respect for this process that you're going through and what you are involved in.
Yeah.
What you put in isn't always going to be what you get out.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it will. And you will be loving what you're doing. But there are going to be times where it's frustrating and it's hard. And I think just taking a step back and zooming out and thinking like, what does this look like across my lifetime? How long am I going to be doing this?
Yeah.
For me, making videos, I've been doing that since I was like 8. Like I'm going to be on my deathbed like, bye guys. It was a good one, you know? And I'll say some old TikTok sound. And they're like, oh, this geezer. You know, like.
I'm just imagining your tombstone with that, like, view count
Yeah.
little graph that
Yeah.
Twitter has now on
Yeah.
posts.
Retention. Yeah, I'll have a retention graph on my tombstone. I just like making videos, and like I know for me personally, I have longevity in that.
Yeah.
I like making music, like I'll do some like arts and crafts every now and then with my hands, but like those things to me are just like they are ways to, jump into something, try something new. If I get obsessed with those, I remind myself, hey, I actually like making music, for example.
Yes.
I love doing it, but at the end of the day, it's not something I feel like I'm, beckoned to do. Like I'm not being called to do this every single day.
Yeah.
Like with video making, like I just want to make videos every day. So it's, you remind yourself, this is just that fun. I'm just having fun here. But also when you do have the thing that like I'm going to draw my entire life. I've always done it. I can't imagine myself not doing it. It's just my thing. Then you also have to zoom out and remember like, okay, then like I'm going through a little rough patch and I don't want to do as much of that. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because if you continue to say, I have to do this, it's like, that's burnout really quickly.
Well, and that's like, I mean, to loop back in what I was saying too, like, I think that's also like values versus goals too. Like if you are just living or dying by the algorithm, like that's like the goal is guiding me. And I'm constantly chasing the goal and I'm going to be miserable all the way to the goal. Yeah. But if you are trying to like find value in what you do, then, you can be happy along the way and like, experiment and figure out what's going on and feel out what direction to take rather than, I got to do this now. I hate it.
Absolutely. There are things where you need to do the chores. You need to, I guess you don't have to, but you should probably do your dishes, wash your clothes and stuff.
Probably.
But when creating becomes a chore at times, that is just red flags, lights flashing, burnout ahead,
Absolutely.
Don't force yourself to do it unless you absolutely have to. I mean, when it's your job, that's another thing, like.
Yeah. And even then, like, there are systems in place that you can maybe utilize that can help you take a break and give you the help that you need to get back on track. And that's like, giving yourself the kindness of accepting help. Yeah. Which I know for me is a big problem and is also a big problem for a lot of creatives. That's hard work, but it's really, really necessary to keep yourself from going into the danger zone.
The thing that like grounds me personally is impermanence, just remembering that like
absolutely
everything is dust at some point, right? Like the earth will no longer be with us at someday. Yeah. The sun will burn and fizzle out. So with that in mind, when I look at, these numbers that feel so like, I don't know. I think when I talk to somebody, they'll be like, "Oh my God, your account has grown so much. Like, what does that feel like? What does it feel like to do X, Y, and Z at such a high level?" And you're like, "That's today. It might be gone tomorrow." And I think people are kind of phased out when I say that, but I actually mean it. That like I've been around enough successful people to know that one day you can be just feeling like the algorithm's working for me. I love it. It's so much fun. And then the next day it's gone. Like you might be big in pop culture and have a one or two really big hits, and then things slow down and life changes, and that's okay. So like just remembering that like this phase in your life, with the highs, they're going to be lows, like it. I think that like a lot of people will tell you when you're down in the dumps, keep your chin up. This is just a phase, like there will be better times, But when you're at the most successful point, or like if you feel you have a lot of success, somebody around you hopefully will ground you and say, just remember, there will be a time where you don't feel like this, and that's also okay. Yeah. Because that actually, I think, is that down, like that, I guess, like cliff that you could fall off of is a lot harder than going up. Because when you're at rock bottom, as a creative or just a human, when things start to feel better every day, I'm out of that pit, I feel better and I feel better. But when you're riding high and things start to decline, if you don't have a good sense of what success means for me or what is my longevity as a creative, especially for content creators where everything is so finicky around the algorithm, you will feel terrible pretty quickly. Absolutely. So define those things and know like what happens when I'm really successful. Am I ready to embrace that that definition could change pretty quickly. So just grounding yourself at that level when you're feeling super great and riding high, like just remember it's all gonna change. It may, and the thing is you might be like, oh, I have millions and millions of views, and then you create another channel and it's not as successful in terms of like hard numbers, but you could be a lot happier creating community and doing things. I mean, even if you look at like how people will tell you to make money when like on when people in the world of social media content creation, they'll tell you right away, it's like you don't need 1 million views a day to be able to like connect with an audience and sell a product.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest accounts are like small macro, like kind of more niche-y, but they connect with their audience and people actually trust what they're selling them, and those, it's just a good reminder of what relationships look like. And like if you have tight community, that's actually better in the terms of like success for your career.
Yeah.
Just not something you could flash around and be like, look at my 20 million views a month, isn't that cool?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh.
Making art is hard.
Making art's so hard, everybody.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I was at an agency, and whenever I do this all the time, whenever I've been at an agency, somebody will complain, and I say it in the most demeaning voice, which is probably inappropriate, but I go, making art is hard. And it pisses people off, and I've tried to be respectful with it because I feel like it can actually come across really terrible. But I mean it in my soul. I mean it like I say it in that condescending voice because it feels so stupid to say that.
Yeah.
But it is true. Making art is hard. And even my partner has been going through a creative process recently and like working on some brainstorming some ideas for some public art pieces. And she will say that every now and then. She'll be like, God, making art is hard. And I'm like, it's true, right? Like, it's true. But you have to say it in that demeaning voice because it's a good reminder that everything is so fickle,
Oh, yeah. It's a hard world to be in, especially when you are trying to make stuff. And especially when you're trying to make public art, as I well know.
Everything is public art now.
And that's true enough.
Yeah.
True enough. So, Nick, I went to Winco, everyone's favorite grocery store here in Portland. It's kind of like Costco if Costco were weird. I know that's not a good description either, but still.
Winco is okay. Oh, I got it.
Yes.
Winco.
Where the winds go?
Winco is what Costco would be if it looked like a plaid pantry. Right? It's like
absolutely.
You just dressed it down.
Yeah.
To look like plaid pantry.
I should also give context to listeners who are not in Oregon. We have maybe the worst convenience store chain in America here in Oregon. Plaid Pantry.
Is that not local, or is that's
just local?
That's local. That's not, okay.
Yeah,
7-Eleven then. A worse 7-Eleven. Maybe, I don't know. There are some nice plaid pantries.
There are some. Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends. Certainly none around here. But one of the wonderful things that I picked up was a mighty collection of none other than the big boy, Arizona iced tea. So I thought maybe a fun way to close out our season would be to turn our graphic design judgment eyes on Arizona iced tea and pick the best package design of Arizona iced tea, and maybe also the best flavor if we want.
Yeah,
cups too.
So we're just going to critique this design.
We're just going to critique. So this is the first one that I've pulled out right here. This is the.
Oh, we have multiple.
Can
I see it? Can I see the?
Let me get the whole collection out. Move this guy.
Oh, we got Arizona. I like how when you set it down, it's got like a big Mordor epic. Wow.
It's just shaking all the springs in this thing.
Okay, wow.
There we go. But yeah, so we've got 7 cans of Arizona iced tea.
Is that Arizona? Do they make Arnold Palmer?
This is indeed a Arizona iced tea Arnold Palmer. The Arizona, and I think this is the first can I pulled out. Arizona is almost illegible on the side, which is frankly I think a big design problem when your product is sort of named Arizona iced tea, you want people to be able to read that part.
But Arnold Palmer is like, I know, yeah. It should be synonymous with Arizona because I didn't know that.
It is. What I was also kind of fascinated by, there were actually some other Arnold Palmer cans. This is the Diet Half and Half iced tea lemonade. Is this one sort of looks like, if you've gone to a cemetery that has sort of modern tombstones and the tombstones are like weird silkscreen pictures,
Yeah.
it kind of looks like that vibe, which is maybe not, for me, representative of the kind of beverage that I would enjoy drinking. Things that look like a tombstone. So there's some intense graphic design work happening on these cans. There's some that are definitely better than others in my mind.
An enormous amount of sugar.
So much sugar. I mean, these are the hungry man meals of iced tea.
Yeah, where should we start?
Yeah. Well, I've already talked about the Arnold Palmer. Do you want to give your notes on that one?
I want to say first off, golf ball.
Uh-huh.
There's like the golf ball design.
It does have golf ball texture to it.
But like pretty terrible.
Very bad. Not a good repeating, GIF that they found on the internet in 1996 of a golf ball.
What's interesting is just like from the curvature on the can, how you actually have to like tilt it a bit,
Yeah.
to like get the if I look at it, all I see is Diet and like the ampersand.
Well, this is a thing that kind of struck me, is like Arizona iced tea really, as graphic design, has to be appreciated in the round, like, Greek sculpture or something. You need the full dimension of, sort of 3 dimensions to encompass the whole exciting, design landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you might miss, wonderful bits of text like 100% natural, or
what does that even mean nowadays?
Impossible to know. And also in the listing on this one that says 100% natural is glucose fructose syrup.
Yeah, but it's natural.
It's 100% natural high fructose corn syrup. So really good and great for you.
There's a lot.
I know.
But the thing is I feel like they all look like they're from the 90s.
Very much so.
2 years ago, I would have been like, it's incredibly outdated. But now, feels like it's pretty spot on.
Absolutely.
It's in the cool kids club right now.
I think they fired their graphic designer in 1997 to save on budget. And a big reason why they haven't raised prices is because then they would have to hire a different graphic designer to update the price on the can. But, a stop clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
And these clocks are very right.
It's exactly that. A broken clock is right twice a day, right? Like, it doesn't matter how bad it is. It will look cool at some point.
Absolutely. I mean, that's even true. Like, growing up in Vegas, like, you would see the hotels would have a brand, and then they would decide to scrap the brand. It would be like 30 days too early, and if they'd kept it, then it would have been cool again. But,
exactly. Like
Yeah.
old Vegas, like casino design. I was planning a trip to Vegas, and I was looking at hotels to stay in. And I'm like, that design is terrible, but like oddly in right now.
Yeah.
It's just the dirty carpet that I don't like. And the smell of cigarettes that I can smell from hotels.com. I'm opening this one. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
This is the only one I think I actually want to try.
Yeah, Nick is going to try the Arnold Palmer. The others, I think, are probably too not healthy. It does look like iced tea.
It does.
And not the rapper / Law and Order SVU actor.
I am about to test it.
All right. Very good Foley work, by the way.
Thank you. Not bad. I think it's actually, I wonder, I wish, what I do wish we had was the non-diet version.
Compare.
To taste like what is sweetness, and like, is it artificial in this, or is it just less sweetener in it? I don't know.
That is a great question.
It's got to be artificial sweetener, right?
Almost certainly. I mean, it certainly doesn't say 100% natural on this can.
Do you know what I feel? This is how I feel about diet drinks.
What's that?
It's like smoking a random cigarette. I don't, but like what I would imagine smoking a random cigarette, it's like if I drank this every day, it would be terrible. But just one of these, in the context of my life, if it was the only one I had, It's fine.
It's not bad. I'm into it.
I feel like
honestly.
diet drinks I only really have when it's like if there's a film shoot or you're at a like hotel or like you just like
Yeah.
it's there.
Can I tell you another amazing feature of this can that I just noticed now?
Yes.
On the side, there's a list of special golf achievements from Mr. Arnold Palmer himself, as well as a description of the thing. The name Arnold Palmer has legendary roots as an original beverage combination of half iced tea and half lemonade. Arizona Beverages, makers of one of America's favorite iced teas, have teamed up with Arnold Palmer himself to bring you Arnold Palmer Diet Half and Half.
Can I get a little more of that? It's actually pretty good.
Yeah. And there's also an email address if you want to learn more info about
It's not a website, but there's an email address.
Palmer. No, literally, you can email, and I would encourage all our listeners to email info@drinkarizona.com and ask for more Arnold Palmer intel.
I feel like you could get them to sponsor this podcast.
I don't know. I mean, they're only charging 99 cents, and at Winco, part of the reason I bought all these, 76 cents or something like this for a can. Yeah. So maybe they don't have budget.
It's a loss leader.
Oh, we didn't shake well. We're going to be killed, I think, by the poisons in this.
I think the end is going to be really good.
Yeah. That's where all Arnold's chunky stuff lives.
I would say that the Arizona iced tea lineup,
Yeah.
consumer packaged goods, what they got going on shelves right now, pretty spot on from a visual design standpoint.
Absolutely.
I think depending on who owns the company, potentially culturally appropriated, just
Almost
just a little bit.
certainly. Almost certainly.
like, like that makes me feel I'm not going to go grab those three. They're
the ones with some Native American imagery that feels perhaps entirely appropriated.
like I'm not like I would absolutely not grab that drink just because, and I might even make this is what would happen. I would walk into the store, I'd see that, and be like, oh, that fruit punch, that sounds great. Ugh. Am I bad for buying that? That looks culturally appropriated.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I won't get an Arizona iced tea. All right, I'm just gonna get an Arnold Palmer. Wait a second, Arizona makes Arnold Palmer? I didn't know that. I'm getting nothing. I'm getting a liquid death. That's what would happen. I'm telling you, I promise you, that's real.
Absolutely. So I'm guessing then your can of choice is the Arnold Palmer can, if you had to nominate a hero out of this lineup.
Yeah, because even the ginseng ones, like,
Yeah, that's problematic in its own way.
I think they all have some cultural appropriation on it, except
For
for
sure.
Arnold Palmer. Which, I don't know your thoughts on golf culture, but I feel like out of this lineup of cans, the golf culture is the only one that probably signed off on their usage.
Golf culture is the least problematic thing in the room, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, one thing I will say about these ones, the grid ones.
Still there, but
Absolutely still there. Is I do like the grid a lot.
I do, and it's funky.
And I think the color choices on those are among my favorites.
This can, I would say, by far, this can right here
Yeah.
is probably my favorite visually.
This is the Arizona iced tea with lemon flavor. Sunbrewed style. It looked like it said St. Bernard style for a minute.
Good dog. I love those dogs.
Good dog.
Got slobber in them.
Oh.
Okay, I want you to make me a promise.
Yes.
Well, first question: when is the last time that you made sun tea?
I mean, we tried it as kids back in Vegas, I think it's kind of interesting, the idea that you could put a thing in the sun and it wouldn't die like a human would there in the 170-degree heat of summer. But I never remember enjoying it.
Okay. Do it now. Like, as an adult, you got to do it. Promise me in this summer you'll do it. It's actually really good. Put a little lime in there. Get some bags of tea, just Lipton's tea or whatever. PG Tips.
Sure.
That's the household favorite.
I have no shortage of tea, so I feel like I would be well chosen for that.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's so good. There's just something special about it.
So I think then we have our champion.
Yeah.
It is
Arnold Palmer.
Arnold himself.
Arnold Palmer.
Pour one out for Arnold Palmer Diet Half and Half iced tea and lemonade.
I love the tautness of that gradient. It is It's also weird because look at it real quick. Look where it falls on the ampersand and look where it's at on the second line of text.
Oh.
It's offset.
Yeah.
Somebody had to make a decision there.
They're trying. They're
That
trying
was-
something. I'll give them that. Boy, the little umbrella is not sitting well with me. I'm sure that's part of Arnold Palmer's trademark logo that he loves, but it looks very cheap. It looks like a Corel Draw clip art.
If I can make one change on that can,
Yes.
is it would enhance the kind of badness of it, right? Like
Absolutely.
I want to see some bad clipping on Arnold himself with like a bad stroke and some pretty terrible drop shadow or something, like
Turn it into a straight up meme Arnold Palmer.
pretty much, I think. And then that would be everything.
Yeah. Bevel, emboss.
Like a little bit more of that. And then I'm loving it. I'm really, really loving it. Also, like tea is such a hard thing to visualize, it's like,
Yeah.
especially, I don't know, like, did you think of like a cup, but like tea leaves?
Yeah, I mean, tea packaging has always interested me, and I used to do that as a project for students because I think it's a really fun challenge. You want to be able to create something that's interesting without being. You're going back for
Going back.
another. You are.
It's a small cup.
I've created a terrible addiction for you.
I know you did this last time. Oh, God.
We're gonna talk a year
This
from
is
now, and
2023.
you're gonna have 4,000 viral hours of you drinking Arnold Palmers and reviewing them.
Yeah.
From various restaurants around the country.
I'm going to make my own.
I bet you could, and I bet it would be really good. Our champion again, Arnold Palmer. So go out and get that, the official iced tea of Did I Do That?
They should put that on the can.
They should put that on the can.
That's a big. It's a big accolade.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. I mean, maybe it could be in the style of this Great Hot that's on the green tea with ginseng and honey on the side. Great Hot.
Great hot.
Great Hot.
It's in a can, so just put it in the fire.
Yeah, cans historically a thing you want to heat.
Yeah.
No problems there.
Great hot.
Nick, where can people find you if
can
they
I-
wish to find
Can
you?
I tell you a little bit about where I'm at right now?
Yes,
Because
tell
of what
me
I'm
tell
doing
me about your projects.
right now. Yeah.
Yes.
So with Meme Bra, I really don't know what the future looks like for it. For right now, I'm just kind of chilling out on it. There are some collaborations that I've done with some people that will continue to post. Just not at the same pace of like every single day.
Yeah.
So slowing down with that. And I've more recently focused my emphasis to be on another channel, which is called Nicholas's Content, and really just focused in on providing as much, knowledge and resources as I can to a community of creators.
And Nicholas's Content is also kind of part of your consulting business.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, so like there's kind of like split into two pieces. There is like the part where I'm working with brands, like the work that I've been doing for a long time. The consulting route is more of just like me attempting to have a little bit more flexibility around the projects that I can involve myself in, that I say yes to, because working 9 to 5 on one project and like I'm at that point now where I'm like, I'm ready for like, 10 to 20 hours for a couple weeks and then maybe 5 hours on here, just like really allowing myself to work on more projects. I feel like I'm at that point in my career where it's like, I can't just be tied down to one thing for like a year,
Well, and like giving yourself some variety is also like a great anti-burnout technique, although within reason.
Within reason, because then it can create some chaos within itself. So there's that part of it. That's really not that new. But, for me, like over the last 10 years, there has been this amazing shift from amazing, maybe also terrible, depends on how you look at it. But there has been a shift from, kind of brand design, content design, and that getting infiltrated and also integrated with influencers, content creators, and I think that it's becoming a lot less kind of influencer-y, like kind of just like, hey, here's the product. I'm holding it. Buy.
Yeah.
Buy it. And that's it.
It's basically kind of circled back around to more the traditional advertising, like even the 50s, like sponsorship of a TV show thing.
Yeah. Do you believe in the product and stuff like that? And I think some of that's just like BS, just like everything and anything in this world, there's a lot of BS. But I do think that there are a lot of really great community-based content. So there are a lot of great content creators that are very community focused that are actually finding product integration, things that are going to benefit their community, their viewers.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I'm really excited about. So that's why creating this, this new channel, Nicholas's Content, is really focused on how can I just give back to a community, and just like there's a lot of beginners resources that exist all across social media platforms. A lot of crap though. Like a lot of people are like, the biggest challenge that I have with these is they're like, you need to post like 4 or 5 times a day. And if you're not doing that, give the fuck up.
Oh, God.
And it's like, okay, that is not true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, the algorithm changed, now do this. And it's just like, the only reason why people are saying that is because they want you to engage with their content, and it's just like a flashy object.
Yeah.
So my goal, hopefully, is to really give back what I've learned in a way that doesn't feel gimmicky, that's not just trying to play just like play the old joke on people of just like, how can I kind of, just clickbait, just bad clickbait. But at the same time, trying to focus on more content creators that I can help and build more relationships, because that to me is fun. Like I like going out and creating fun viral ideas with street content like I did with Meme Bra. But also I don't always want to be in front of the camera when working on those projects. So this is my attempt to go back out, give away the knowledge that I have, and start connecting with people and start collaborating through these means, just like they find my content and they're like, cool, let's work together. And then I can help give them what they need to actually make that a reality.
So if you are needing to make some videos, hit Nick up.
Yeah. Do it.
Do it now.
Watch the videos. That's like a lot of people are like, oh, like what can I, like I had somebody approach me the other day and they're like, oh, I just want some kind of basic information around this. And I'm like, just watch the videos I'm going to start putting out on a regular basis, because like I'm going to hopefully just establish the basics and kind of keep up with the trends that are happening. So hopefully you don't have to go anywhere else.
Make it easy.
Don't post 4 to 5 times a day. You will kill yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
don't do that.
That's burnout sauce. Like, ugh.
Burnout sauce sounds terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's not even hot sauce.
No. I mean, we kind of did a terrible hot ones here with Arizona iced tea, now that I think about it.
That's it. That's a new show. It's like bad diet drinks.
Well, we would have to do the full taste test to know which one of these is the most rancid.
Oh, I'm gonna
just leave one under the car of like an '83 Corolla for 10 years.
I think we all know which one is the worst. Come on. Come on, tell me right now, which one do you think it is? And I think
it's almost certainly the watermelon, isn't it?
That's it.
Watermelon fruit juice cocktail. Oh boy.
That is absolutely it. There's no doubt in my mind. Maybe it's a surprise. Maybe, and the fruit punch is actually terrible, but I don't know. I'm thinking the watermelon one is pretty gnarly.
It's hard to imagine it tasting good, if I'm being perfectly honest with it. It does have antiox, according to the...
Not antioxidants,
No,
but
antiox. Yeah, there's no oxes in this
No
can.
aux cable.
No aux at all. You will not be able to connect your vintage iPod to it. Thank you so much for being here again, Nick. Closing out season 2. Closing out strong. Thank you.
That was last year, too.
What?
I think last year, was I the last?
Yeah, you were the last of season 1, and now you are the last of season 2. It's serendipity. It was meant to happen this way.
I just like hanging out so much that I was just basically like, Sean, put me back on.
You did. I mean, you asked a long time ago. And
I was like, can I come back?
It took me a long time to get my shit together.
I just want to hang out, And I'm like, I guess I got some stuff I could talk about too.
You've lived 2 years in the past 9 months.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. And thank you to the listener for all of those who have joined us this season, which I know is a good number of folks. If this is something that you have been really enjoying, why not rate, review, subscribe, and even better, tell a friend about this really silly show, because I want to keep making it, and I want it to keep growing and finding people who like it. and you are a very important part of that equation. If you want to learn more about the show, you can follow it on Instagram. We have a very lively Instagram at dididothat.design. And we are also now on YouTube, if you want. That is also dididothat.design. And hey, what do you know? Go visit us on the web at dididothat.design. Not .com, but www.dididothat.design. I created a problem by making the handles the same as the website, I'm realizing now.
No, I think that's good.
But yeah, we've got a fresh new website. I put a fresh coat of paint on it before this one's coming out. And now, I am Sean Schumacher. This has been the close of Season 2 of Did I Do That? And as we always say, at the close of every season...
Arnold Palmer slaps.
Arnold Palmer slaps. Okay, bye. Both peaked. When did that happen? I mean,
I peaked back in high school.
yeah, I peaked a while back, if I'm being honest.
Way too early.
And I wasn't in great shape when that happened either.